Hey guys, HCG Chica. Okay, so the topic I wanted to talk about today is a basic one. That is, what is the HCG diet and does it work? HCG stands for human chorionic gonadotropin. It's a hormone that a woman's body produces in high quantities when a woman is pregnant. About 60 years ago or so, a doctor named Dr. Simeons discovered a protocol. He developed this protocol and he discovered that taking small amounts of this hormone when it was injected, combined with a very, very low calorie diet with a very specific food list, caused a great amount of not just weight loss but fat loss in a very short period of time. So does it work? Yes, it does. And you know why I know? Because I have actually done the diet. I have had body fat testing done before and after my HCG rounds, and it has proved to me that a large percentage of the weight loss on HCG is fat. I've had as high as, I believe, 85% fat loss on the HCG diet. Men often achieve pretty much 100% fat loss on the diet. They have a lot more testosterone. Guys are a little different. That's the one time I kind of wish I was a guy. But anyway, you can see proof of that in my body fat percent and HCG category on my website. And also, if you take a look at my HCG fact page, you'll find some questions and answers related to concerns about the HCG diet that you can check out. So that's just kind of it in a nutshell. I have proof through body fat testing, hydrostatically, and DEXA scan, showing a high rate of fat loss in a very short period of time. So what is the basics of the diet? I'm just going to kind of read through what Dr. Simeons wrote in his book, and I highly recommend you read it. It's called Pounds and Inches, and it's actually a free download on my free HCG downloads section here on my website. Basically, you're not supposed to exceed 500 calories a day while you're on the low calorie portion of the diet. We call that portion P2 on YouTube. There's a wonderful HCG YouTube community. If you go check it out, again, you can find out how to find those people on my fact page. Under the section, how do I get support on the HCG diet? There's lots of good questions and answers there. But basically, while you're on that low calorie part, P2, you don't want to exceed 500 calories in general. Some people say, oh, you have to eat the full 500 and stuff like that. Don't listen to any of that. Basically, Dr. Simeon says you may eat up to 500, but you don't have to eat the full 500. Basically, you eat until you're not hungry anymore. Now, obviously, if you weren't on HCG, you would be hungry for a lot more than 500 calories. So the hormone is it's not a placebo. You really do experience a high amount of fat loss, and you really don't feel hungry if you're on the right dose of HCG. So basically, the food choices are basically twice a day. You have 2 meals. Now, you can take a little bit like from your lunch and have that for breakfast if you choose to, but this is just the basic thing. The morning, you can have coffee and tea in any quantity. Sweeteners like stevia you can have, so that's totally fine. Dr. Simeons made the allowance for 1 teaspoon of milk a day. It's not very much. I actually myself do have a teaspoon of half and half each day. But aside from that, the food is 100 grams of veal, beef, chicken breast, fresh white fish, lobster, crab, or shrimp. So these are all very, very lean meats. That's kind of the key here, is they're supposed to have as little fat as possible. So that's the only thing you really have to weigh on the protocol is the meat. You weigh out 100 grams. Aside from that, you get 1 vegetable from the following: spinach, chard, chicory, beet greens, green salad, tomatoes, celery, fennel, onions, red radishes, cucumbers, asparagus, and cabbage. So those are the vegetable choices. 1 breadstick, it's also called grissini or a Melba toast. And then the fruit choices, you get 1 fruit, is apple, orange, a handful of strawberries, or half grapefruit. So you have 1 of those for lunch, and you have 1 of each of those for dinner. That's it. So 2 meals with a protein, 100 grams of a protein, a vegetable, a fruit, and a Melba toaster grissini. Now, I'm just going to tell you, I've never eaten the grissini and Melba toast on any of my HCG rounds, and most other people don't either. Most people find that the carbs in it just kind of make you crave more and make you want to eat more. Most people don't want to eat just one breadstick. So, you know, it's up to you, but I find the protocol to be much easier, and I find the weight loss to be better by leaving that out. The fruits, most people do eat the fruit on the protocol. Myself, I actually usually no longer include the fruit. Again, I find it kind of tends to give me cravings. So I just find that eliminating them makes it easier for me, and then I just increase my vegetable intake. So those are the basics, though. You just do that twice a day, lunch and dinner, and it's not supposed to exceed, 500 calories. So depending on the dose of HCG that you end up taking, when you're doing injections, most people will feel the best on a dose of about 125 IU to 175 IU. And you can learn all more about this. You'll see a section on my website called FAC Vlogs, and there's all kinds of videos about, how to find a dose that's good for you, how do you know if you're on the right dose, how to mix your HCG. So it'll help you, if you're not sure what I'm talking about, those things will help you figure that out. But anyway, for instance, I take 125 IU per day now. That's how much I inject, and I experience no hunger except for actual meal times. Say around 12 and 6 o'clock, I start getting a little hungry. I have my little meal that's, not more than 250 calories, and then I'm fine again for several hours. Sometimes you might find that you do need a little something in the morning, and in that case, some people choose to have their fruit, their lunch fruit in the morning instead, and Dr. Simeon said you could do that. One thing that I've chosen to do, and I have found to still continue to give me good fat loss, is to replace my fruits with 0% Fage Greek yogurt. So, that's something that you may possibly look into trying. So I'll have like maybe a quarter cup or a half cup of that. And sometimes I'll have that be like my breakfast. And then, I don't eat the fruits. Aside from those foods I mentioned, he mentioned having the juice of 1 lemon daily as being okay. And then, certain spices and stuff like salt, pepper, vinegar, mustard powder, garlic, basil, parsley, thyme, marjoram, stuff like that. But no butter, no oil. The biggest thing about this diet is that you don't want to have any fats on the diet. That's what you want to avoid. You want to drink, a healthy amount of tea and water, and, if you have coffee, of course, that's fine. So that's the basics of that. What else can I tell you? Yeah, I mean, that's about it. Oh, okay, yes, I do know. Okay, let me continue. So that's the low-calorie portion of the diet. When you first start injecting HCG, there needs to be 2 days that are called loading days. Those are days that you actually are going to be eating a high-fat diet, like way more than you would normally eat. You want to eat a super, super high-fat diet. The purpose is to actually gain weight those first 2 days that you're taking the injections. You basically want to load your body up with fat, and then after that, after those 2 days, the HCG will be fully active in your system. It takes those kind of couple days to get, fully into your bloodstream. And then after that, you start the low-calorie portion of not more than 500 calories. And you're going to see, your weight and your fat really start dropping quickly. As far as hunger goes, you will be a little bit hungry the first few days on the protocol. You're going from eating a ton of food on the loading days to all of a sudden eating barely nothing the first couple days. And often people, when they load, often have a high amount of carbs. And that drastic change from a lot of carbs to almost no carbs makes your body think it's hungry. So you may feel a little hungry those first few days. However, after those first few days, you shouldn't be hungry anymore. If you are still hungry, you need to check your HCG to make sure that it's viable, and the way you do that is to test it with a pregnancy test. I have a video on that under my HCG FAC section. And aside from that, you also need to check your dose. If you have too high a dose of HCG or too low a dose of HCG, it will cause you to have excessive hunger. When you have the right dose, hunger is gone. It's pretty amazing, actually. So that's an important thing to catch as well. When you finish the HCG protocol, the HCG protocol is done usually in 3 or 6 week rounds. However, these days most people just do it for the length of time that they want to. I definitely don't recommend doing it more than 6 weeks. It's a lot for your body to go through to lose that much fat so quickly. I think it's a very healthy thing to do, to take a nice long break between your rounds. Eat healthy, work out, just enjoy your new body at the point that it's at, and then get on to your next round of HCG and lose some more fat. So following the low calorie part, however long you do it, say you do it for 3 weeks or 4 weeks, when you get off, there's going to be a period of 72 hours after your last injection that you need to continue eating the 500 calorie diet even though you're not injecting. That's because it takes that long for the HCG to get out of your system. For 72 hours after your last injection, you continue to eat the 500 calories. After that 72 hours, you start what's called phase 3. By most people on YouTube, we call it phase 3. And that's where you have to stabilize your new weight. So when you lose this much weight really quickly, at first, your body, it's going to be very volatile. Your body's going to naturally want to go back up to where it was. So in order to stabilize your new weight and kind of create a new set point for your body, Dr. Simeon's had his patients eat a no starch, no sugar diet for a period of 3 weeks, during which time you're supposed to keep your weight within a couple pounds of your last injection weight or your last dose weight. So the idea behind that is basically to create a stabilization where your body is at around the same weight for a few weeks. And after that, it's like your body gets used to being there and it likes to be there. So when you do that, then after that period of time, you're able to start incorporating some, healthy starches and sugars again in moderation, of course. And the idea is that your body will now be comfortable at the weight that it's at, kind of reset where you're at, and you'll be able to eat a few more things without your weight jumping up. If you were to finish the low calorie portion of the diet and immediately start eating potatoes, and pancakes, you will see your weight jump up very quickly. So follow the protocol. If I can tell you one of the most important things about doing the HCG diet is that P3, the stabilization phase, is by far the most important part of this diet. Far too often, we view the diet part as the important part, and we're really focused and really serious about losing weight. And then as soon as we get to P3, we kind of just, everything goes out the window, and we're totally laid back and lax about it. We don't do it right, and then all of a sudden, we've gained 5, 6, 7 pounds, and it's only been a couple weeks. So don't underestimate the importance of that phase. Honestly, it's more important than the diet part. It really is. If you do that part properly, you will be successful. So anyway, that's kind of it in a gist. After the P3 period of keeping your weight within that couple pounds for a few weeks, you can go into what's called P4, which is maintenance, where you can, see what else you can add in, see if you're able to add in some potatoes or some yam or, an occasional pancake or whatever, you just kind of figure out what your body does well with in order to maintain your new weight. Now, I can tell you guys, some people wonder, like, afterwards, in order to maintain my weight, do I have to start counting calories and only eat 1,200 calories a day? For me, I have not had to do that. I don't count calories. I don't eat 1,200 calories a day. I know I eat quite a bit more than that. I do, however, eat very healthy now. I have learned to find substitutes for some of the things that I used to eat, like ice cream. I'm not saying you can never have ice cream, but I used to eat it in pretty large quantities. So it doesn't matter what diet I did, if I started eating ice cream again the way I used to, I would regain the weight. So for me, I have found healthy replacements that are much lower in calorie or lower in sugar that enable me to continue getting full and eating, you know, what I want and not worrying about it, but still maintaining my weight. So I hope that's helpful, you know, for any of you guys wondering about that. Now, one more thing I want to mention about P3, the stabilization phase. The way Dr. Simeon's laid it out is that if you do find your weight going 2 pounds over your last injection or last dose weight, you are supposed to do what's called a stake day. A stake day is basically like a mini fast. You would, the morning that you wake up that you're over 2 pounds, you would basically drink water all day long, don't eat anything, and then for dinner you have a nice good sized steak with an apple or a tomato. The following morning you're usually going to be down, you know, 2 or 3 pounds. So basically that's just like a correction mechanism to bring your body back to where it was. You're trying to just create a stability factor for your body. And the thing here is when you do a stake day, you're supposed to, if you have to do that, you need to restart that 3-week stabilization phase over. So if you did 3 weeks of P3, but you had to do 3 stake days during that time, you're not done at the end of that with P3. You need to restart the no sugar, no starch phase after every stake day. So the idea is just to keep your weight within a couple pounds for a period of 3 weeks, however long that ends up taking you. So one more thing I want to say about that is take it a little bit with a grain of salt. If you are eating super clean and you are doing like a lot of weightlifting, like I do when I'm in P3, I take it with a grain of salt because I find that I've built quite a bit of muscle between my HCG rounds because I'm doing the weightlifting. So I kind of basically watch my fat, how much fat I have, more so than I watch what the scale says. You know, when you exercise, there's always a lot of water retention because your body's rebuilding muscle and it surrounds the torn muscles with water. When you build muscle, obviously that weighs something. So for me, sometimes I actually do get out of that 2-pound range. In fact, I usually do. And that's not something that I worry about because I know that I'm eating properly for my body and I know the reasons for those gains. I know that that's not fat. But if you're in doubt, if you're eating some oatmeal on P3 or something, and you're not exercising and your weight's going up, I do believe in doing those stake days. They do really work, and it is really good to try to stabilize that new weight. So anyway, I hope that's helpful. I know this is a really long video, but for anyone who just wanted to get kind of a quick rundown of how the protocol works, I just thought I would do a video for those of you who like to watch video. The other thing is I was speaking about avoiding fats on the diet, and that goes for using any oils or fats on your skin as well. Some people find this hard to believe, but you know, our skin it's one of our largest organs. I think it's either our second or largest organ or something of our whole body. Or maybe it's the largest. I don't remember, but it's first, second, or third largest organ. And you know, we absorb stuff through our skin. So if you're slathering on olive oil on your skin, it's gonna absorb. And the hormone HCG, it really does somehow make fat in our body really volatile. I wish I could explain it to you in more detail and say that I know exactly what's happening, but to be honest, no one really knows exactly what it's doing. Unfortunately, we don't have little cameras that can be all over our body all at once seeing what's actually happening inside. All we can see are the results. But what's interesting is not only does being on HCG cause us to lose a high amount of fat when we're on the low-calorie diet, you will also gain fat much more quickly if you cheat on the diet than if you weren't on HCG. So that's how you know that the hormone is not a placebo. It does something with fat that's pretty crazy and it makes it, fat very volatile. So if you're taking in any fats, it's going to turn that into fat in your body. So don't be paranoid, though, about, you do want to check your different, like lotions especially, you'd want to double check those. If they have certain oils, you wouldn't want to use those. But for the most part, I wear all my makeup and I haven't had a problem. I don't think most makeups these days are really made with a bunch of oils. I think in past years they may have been, but for the most part, they're made with just a bunch of chemicals, right? So So it's fine, right? But anyway, so I don't think you need to overthink that, but just stay away from the obvious sources of fats and oils when it comes to your skin. Um, so I hope that helps. I also recommend avoiding things like having your hair dyed and colored while you're on the protocol. Anything that's like that chemically, processed, I would avoid that. Just wait till after. It's only a few weeks, just to be safe. So I hope that's helpful. If you have any other questions, feel free to email me or look at my fact page. It's pretty comprehensive. But anyway, I just want to kind of give you a rundown on that. So hope that's helpful. Take care, guys. Bye.